So I've been shredding the loaded poke for quite some time now, and I wanted to make this video just to share my experience to help you decide if it's right for you or not. Now, a quick transparency disclaimer, Loaded did send this board to us for free, but we only accepted it under the terms that we could state our honest thoughts, and they agreed. Just a reminder, we also have a transparency page on our website that shows you every single board that we've reviewed and if we bought it out of pocket or received for free. Now, the first thing that I want to cover are the setups that Loaded offers. You can either get their carving and slashing or their surf simulation. The main differences between these setups are the trucks and wheels. The carving and slashing comes with Paris 150mm 50-degree trucks and Orangutan 70mm 83A stimulus. The surf simulation comes with Carver CX trucks equipped with Orangutan nipple bushings and Orangutan 70mm 80A 4 President wheels. It's 34 inches long, just over 9 inches wide, and the inner hole wheelbase is 20 3/4 of an inch. Now, if you're familiar with Loaded's lineup, I would describe this as a crossbreed between the Fat Tail and Coyote. And if you're not familiar with their lineup, essentially all that means is that it's just like a compact freestyle cruiser. It has a directional shape. The nose is super low key, and the kicktail, I guess I would still categorize it as low key if you compare it to a traditional skateboard kicktail, but as you can see, it's definitely more than the nose. The reason why I said it was like a crossbreed between the Fat Tail and Coyote is because the kicktail reminds me of the Coyote's kicktail. Throughout the main middle section of this deck, it has some concave, but if you compare it to something like the Omakase, it's definitely not as aggressive. It does have lifted wheel wells, but it's super subtle that it's kind of hard to tell. The vertically laminated bamboo offers some flex, but not that much. The grip tape is definitely more aggressive when you compare it to like a traditional cruiser like the Coyote. Let's move on to the trucks, which are either gonna be the Paris 150s or the Carver CX. Now, personally, if you want my opinion, I love the CX paired on this board compared to the Paris 150s, simply because my riding style, I just like to do deeper carves. Now, if you're someone who favors higher speeds and slides, then obviously the Paris 150s are gonna make more sense. All right, now the wheels, again, depending on what setup you choose, you either get the 70mm 83A stimulus or the 70mm 80A for Presidents. As far as the urethane formula goes, it's their happy thane for both. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that it's quality. Switching back and forth between the two setups, I did notice that the 4 Presidents felt slower than the stimulus, which is common sense because they're softer. Overall, solid wheels. I guess it really just comes down to what wheel fits your riding style. And it also comes with Loaded's Jihu V2 bearings with built-in spacers. Now, everyone's gonna have their own personal preference on bearings, whether you like spacers, you don't, you want them capped, you want them double capped, no capped, I don't know, but personally, I think the Jihu bearings are solid. I've never run into any issues with them. There's been quite a few people asking us the differences between the Poke, Omakase, and Coyote, and so I kind of just want to do a quick comparison between all of them right now. When you compare it to the Coyote, the Poke is better suited for higher speeds and longer distances because it's longer and wider. The other noticeable difference is that the Poke has some flex to it and the Coyote has none because of the 7-ply maple. Similar to a traditional skateboard, the Coyote is going to be better for ollies, flip tricks. It's going to give you more pop. Now, when you compare it to the Omakase, I'm personally more comfortable on the Omakase on higher speeds simply because it has more aggressive concave and it's wider. And not to mention the flex on the Omakase, there's none, and obviously on the Poke, there's a little. I'd say the last main difference between this and the Omakase is that the Omakase has 2 different wheelbase options. So if you're someone who wants to experiment a little, then you might want that over the Poke. Now, as far as pros and cons go for this board, the first thing I've got to say, I just think the aesthetic and overall quality is top tier. Personally, I think the tuna graphic on the bottom is sick. It is subjective though, I guess. Not to mention the subtle beehive like resin print on it. It's so sick. Another one that I guess you could categorize as either a pro or con, however you want to look at it, is that it's portable. I guess this one is kind of subjective too, because everyone's definition of portability is going to be different. It's like right around 7 pounds for both setups, so maybe that'll help you there. The final thing that I think could be a con for some of you out there is that if you ride the CX setup fakie, it can feel pretty jolty. So for example, what I mean is I was doing slides with both setups, and with the Paris 150s, when I would slide and start to ride fakie, I would have no problem riding fakie. But when I did that with the CX, riding fakie was just a little more sketchy and jolty, but that's just because it's like a surf skate setup. Overall, I really enjoy this board for my riding style. All of my loaded video reviews are now pretty much just me sharing my experience, because I feel like we all know that they're quality. Honestly, this will probably just replace my Tan Tien for the most part. As much as I love that board, my riding style over the last few years has shifted to just carving heavy. So really what I'm getting at is that when I do the Tan Tien video, I'm probably just gonna give this brand new deck away. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, drop a like, subscribe, comment, whatever you do to help the channel out would really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in another one later.